All right, and we're back. Episode 93, Podcast Extra. We wanted to give some insight. The one thing we haven't shared in detail is BJ's story to meditation. You've touched upon it, but you haven't gone deeper into what actually led you to the practice that you're in now, like consistency, like what led you to be committed. And you can go into detail about it, but I would say it was your rock bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. Rock bottom.
So what happened? Share.
So I did have a meditation practice leading into rock bottom. I was using Srimati's downloadable meditation practice, and she had three parts to it, and I can't remember how long it was.
How long were you doing that for? Like 6 months, couple months?
No, I would say just a couple months, not too long.
And you were using a guided meditation?
Guided meditation.
Which is nice, but still outside of you.
Yeah. And actually before that, let's go back to Kripalu when I first started. We went there for a retreat weekend, and I sat up in the gardens by myself in the cold with my headphones on, and I just wanted some. You were doing your practice, and I went and did my thing because we weren't aligned then.
Put on some Enya, probably?
No, I put on Mumford & Sons.
Mumford & Sons.
Yes.
Perfect. The perfect meditation music.
Well, I want to speak to the people who think that they have a connection with a certain song or vibe, and at that time, that's what put me into the mode of like tapping into some music. Is very emotional. It can be very emotional. It can speak to you in different ways. And I feel in that moment, that album and a few of those songs really tapped into something deep inside of me that was coming out.
Like it started to unlock some stuff.
It started to.
And I think that's such a testament to, whatever your entry point is, just go to that entry point and you might find it surprisingly. So that was yours. Just headphones, being still, listening
Eyes
to
closed,
music.
Sun on my face. Yeah.
That sounds nice.
And then I moved to Srimati's meditation practice. And then something big happened
Well, life just got in the way and you got away from it. You weren't practicing anymore.
No, I
Probably
think
training
usually trumps meditation, or did trump meditation at that point in my life. Then our dog Harrison, golden retriever, got sick and his paw began to swell, becoming really big, and we got it checked out, and it turned out he was getting cancer, or he had cancer. And he started to slow down. And so we went into caregiver mode, and we let him we made the decision to just be with him and let him go through this process, because there really was nothing we could do. He was 12, I believe, at the time. And one day, I had to carry him out, and that's what I was doing. I was carrying him out to go to the bathroom and then laying him back inside because he could barely walk. And I brought him out to the car. I think we were going somewhere, maybe to the beach. And as I put him in the car, my lower back popped. Something just shifted. And I tried to push it into the back of my mind.
I remember that moment. You came back in the house and I just was like, oh. Because you were feeling pretty low about the impending loss of our dog.
Absolutely,
and we were going through a really intense time because people are interesting, what they say to you. And they say, why are you letting this dog suffer? And you should really put him down. But we were not receiving, and I was meditating, I was not receiving that directive to do that. And we were torn. We didn't know what to do, but that didn't feel right. There was something about giving him hospice care and letting him take his last breath. We were ready if we received that directive. But I think you were mostly relying on me. I think my perspective was you were like in storage mode. You were just storing grief and storing grief and storing grief. Like you were not awake to to receive any kind of directive. And so I was meditating a lot and watching this whole thing go down. I saw you going down the tubes with him. And anyway, just to say that we never received that directive to put him down. It was very much like, you are not to take his life. You are to support and sit with him. And it really allowed me, which I didn't realize was prepping me for what was going to be happening with you, but it allowed me to hold space for suffering. Because we think we think that nobody's supposed to suffer on this earth, but it's exactly what we're supposed to do here.
Yeah, and these experiences are the signs.
Yeah.
Are the experiences you need to have. And so Harrison was my first dog ever. We didn't grow up with dogs. So Harrison was it. He was the first love of my life, four-legged love of my life. And during that time, you're exactly right. I continued to go to work every day. I continued to train hard.
And you were working like long. You were like getting home at like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it was long hours.
Completely disconnecting.
And I remember you saying at times, like, you know, the days are limited. Like we've got to soak up these days. Like, you sure you're going to work late today? And I was like, we'll just see what happens. And in my mind, I just threw myself deeper into work and training. And avoidance. And that injury to my back that was the start of something really deep. You know, I tried to bury that too, and tried to go through training, and I was going out and doing hard rides and trying to run off the bike. And I remember one day starting out down our street, which is the usual path I would take, and running straight was fine. And as soon as I planted that foot to take a turn, it was like instant sensation.
I'm going to back up the truck.
Yeah.
Because this is already after Harrison had passed. So tell me about the morning that you went down and you found him.
So I'll even back up more, because I was spending nights watching Scooby-Doo with him. I don't know why I picked Scooby-Doo. I have no idea. But I was trying to spend a little bit of time, because this is like way at the very end. He's barely able to move. He's just barely breathing, and you're looking in his eyes. But yeah, I left him that night. I don't know what time it was. Maybe it was past midnight. It was late. Came up to bed, and I had this feeling in the morning. It was early in the morning, like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I woke and felt compelled to go downstairs. I don't know. I don't know the exact steps it took, but I think I had a knowing. I know I had a knowing something happened overnight. And when I got down there and opened the door to our kitchen where he was sleeping by the sliding door, he wasn't moving. And I brought my face down to his nose, which was all dry. And I looked into his eyes, and they were just all black. Just all black. And he had passed in the night. And so I came upstairs, I believe, and I said...
No, you didn't come upstairs.
I didn't?
No. Should I do this? Because this might lighten up the story a little bit. You went downstairs, and you were sleeping in our bedroom, and I was sleeping in the guest room, because you were so hurt physically that I couldn't even sleep in the bed with you. And I heard you go downstairs, and then I heard this wail. of sadness that I have like never heard anything so deeply sad as that. And I just knew. And I was like, because I had been watching this whole thing with you and your descent into the darkness with your back and the avoidance. And I was working with my teacher and meditating and knowing that I was going to need an incredible amount of space to hold. I mean, incredible amount of strength to hold space. And I heard you I've never heard you. And I hope I never ever hear you like this again. I just heard you wailing. You were so crushed. And I remember being like, all right, like talking to myself in bed, like, all right, it's on. I know he's gone. And now I got to hold this shit together. And I'm like, so this is going to be a hell of a day. I'm going to wash my face. I'm going to brush my teeth and at least do all of this with some nice moisturizer on my face and brush my hair. And then I'm going to go down. Like, I'm going to collect myself and then I'm going to go down. And I'm just going to walk into whatever I'm going to walk into. But I remember being like, all right, I'm not doing this with crappy breath. Like, I'm going to brush my teeth and get ready because I got to hold whatever it is that's waiting for me down there. And that's what it was. It was those black eyes. It's so crazy. Like, it really is the eyes or the window to the soul. Mm-hmm. And when that soul leaves, the eyes change completely. So it was early. It was like 5:30 in the morning. And Lhasa, our other dog, who was with us for another 9 months or so before she passed, and that was a totally different story. That's my story to cry about. We got into the car and we went to the beach and we put a blanket on Harrison. We kissed him. And I remember feeling him. He was warm. So he had just passed. He was warm. I remember he was perfection. I remember being like, he looked like perfect. He had looked like a wreck for so many months, and he was perfection in that moment. And we kissed him, and we left. And we went to Empire, and we went to the beach with Lhasa, and we just sat in silence a lot. And we took care of Harrison, and I called the place. They came and got him.
I remember them carrying him out.
Oh, it made you just so realize that, like, it's just a vehicle. The body is just a vehicle. Right, it wasn't him anymore. No. He was just limp. And, all right. And so from there. So what happened from there?
So I still am diving into training and trying to make this thing work. Like, because.
So now the pain is like watching your dog die, you're stuffing that emotion. Now the dog is gone. And like, you haven't really felt too much at this point. So now you're just going to like load up the vault with painful emotion. And how's that working out for you?
In perspective, this is 6 weeks out from Ironman Lake Placid, which I was like all in for.
We were doing it together.
And so I just kept stuffing this stuff and working.
Stuffing the stuff.
I took, I think, a day or two off, and then I was like back at work, and I didn't really want to talk to anyone.
And taking prescription medication.
Yeah. So for my back, I really dove into, I need to fix this thing. And I saw my doctor and got these really heavy doses.
You were on oxycodone, you were on Valium.
Severe stuff.
Valium and oxycodone.
And then I started to drink a lot of wine. Like a lot of wine. And I think Jess remarked one day in the kitchen.
I did it once.
And it was night, and I had come home from work, and it might have been late at night, and I was starting to drink some wine. She's like, "Are you sure you want more wine?" And I can't remember.
I remember I was in the dining room, and you walked through the dining room with a glass of wine and a bottle of wine, and I knew that you were like taking oxycodone and Valium. And I just said, And I had been avoiding, like, I was just like, don't say anything, don't say anything. Like, just, and I was in my meditations and I'm praying for your protection. Like, just protect him. I see him going down this like gnarly path. Please protect him. Let him find his way. Because if he doesn't find his way, I cannot stay married to him. And I was totally at peace with that. I mean, I wasn't going to like divorce you that week, but there was a massive, your dark night of the soul was like completely in control. And I just said to you, I'm not 100% sure that they recommend you drink alcohol with that medication. And you just looked at me and you said, don't talk to me about the wine. And you never talked to me like that. And I was like, all right. And I probably did like a Ho'oponopono or peace and harmony or some kind of healing technique and just let you drink the wine. And I never said anything. And you kept drinking the wine. And
but you let me have it. I
let you sit in the muck.
Suffer through it.
Yep.
Which is exactly what I needed. So yeah, I continued to train hard, and then about 2 weeks out from Ironman, it wasn't going to happen. I knew, I called it then. I even think I called my coach at the time and was like, and broke down then too. And was like, this isn't going to work. I just can't physically perform at this level.
It was going back. What the breaking point was when you found yourself, to go back to what you were saying earlier on this extra, that you got to the end of the street and you didn't know how you were going to get home. And that was like, 6 houses. Like you were 6 houses down the street.
I was down on my knees and
you didn't know how you were going to get home.
I didn't know how I was going to walk back to the house.
Let alone do an Ironman.
So Ironman's out. My parents are coming.
That's right.
To see my first Ironman, and Jess is racing. So there's no way out of me not going.
No.
Up to Lake Placid.
I'm in the best shape of my life and I'm feeling amazing.
Right.
Oh, and Harrison died on a Tuesday and Saturday we raced a half Ironman. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
You had a terrible race.
Awful
because
race.
You had a back injury, a herniation, disc herniation. I had an amazing race. It was so interesting how we took this process. I was feeling all the love and the celebration of his life. This doesn't mean I wasn't crying or I wasn't sad, but I was completely empowered, and you were totally the other way. And it could have been easily the other way around. It's just how the cards fell and what how our karma played out. But we did that. That was not good. You had a terrible race. I had a great race. And then we went to Lake Placid.
Yeah, I had to be in Lake Placid in torrential downpour during the race and spectate and be in an environment that I had trained hard for and wanted to compete at, but I had to be there cheering on Jess, which was great because I could immerse myself in that, but I had my parents there, and Lassa was there and she couldn't leave the hotel room. You know, she was aging too, and all this was happening, and it was an opportunity for me to embrace being lucky enough to be up there and just in an environment that I love so well with my parents. But I chose the other way. Like I really wasn't capable of being at that level. Like I really did.
You served me really well, though. Yeah, you were amazing for me. Amazing.
I remember rushing down to, you forgot your water bottles.
Oh my God. I was so, that day was crazy. That's a whole other podcast extra, but yeah, I was.
But anyway, I had to walk back to the hotel room and then shuffle my way all the way down with 4 water bottles.
Because I didn't check when the race started. I thought it was 6:30, but I thought it was 7. Yeah. It was actually 6:30.
Anyway, yeah, it was challenging. And so we got home from the race and I just went back into work, back into my day job, and
more wine.
And then I remember I had moved to a standing desk at work because, of course, I pursue the recovery full on at that point. That's what I thought would help. So I'm at my standing desk one day, and you had given me your meditation teacher's number a few times, and I remember this it was like mid-morning, and I'm standing at my desk, and something came over me, and I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know these thoughts about Harrison, these thoughts about training, these thoughts of my attachment to the sport of triathlon and Ironman and pushing myself through work and losing my best friend and first four-legged companion, and alcohol was out of control and coffee was out of control. And I just had this moment where it was enough. And I texted Bob and see if I could set something up, and I did. And I didn't tell you about it.
You had actually texted me from work that day, and you said, "What's your meditation?" Because I think I had sent it to you before, but I don't know, you probably deleted it.
Probably
back in the day when I was putting, the Yoga Sutras on your nightstand. That stuff doesn't work. You got to wait for them to find their own way. And you texted me and you said, "What's your meditation teacher's number?" And all I did was text you the number. Oh, I said, "And you can text him." Like, I wanted to give you the easiest way to get in touch with him.
And so I did. And I didn't tell you that I had set up a meeting.
You didn't tell me anything
and then
more
one
about
day,
it.
It was like Thursday morning. I had to leave early for work. And like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, I have an appointment with Bob. Mm-hmm. And so that one-on-one session face-to-face was, wow.
Was it messy?
It was messy. But that's what it took. I remember walking from work down to his place and sitting there and letting it all go, and him just remaining. I just remember him just like you, not succumbing to the sadness or despair. It was like he was neutral, just speaking matter of fact, and like it was amazing. I left that like refreshed. I left that with a new perspective. In one session, I had a little more perspective on things. And so that continued. And now from that day, I think that the start was just to meditate for 5 minutes, maybe even less than that, probably 5 minutes.
But you haven't stopped. That's the point.
And since then, my meditation practice has just continued to grow. And now it's a 45-minute practice every day with my wife in the morning, sitting quietly. And I meditate longer when I'm on flights. And when you challenge me to do a long session, we sit together, and it's just a different relationship with it. I don't know what I would have been or done had I not set up that appointment with Bob and just owned up to the despair and sadness that had filled my life in so many ways. And I had just had enough. And so that meditation that has started since then has changed the direction in my life. I no longer work for a corporation. I no longer am defined by the sport of triathlon. I've gone deeper into curling back the layers inside of me to understand that all I really need is myself, because I have everything in my life I have already, and to stop looking outside. And so meditation to me is a non-negotiable in my present life and in my performance in relationship with others.